They made my daughter sit in the sun, while the white kids got the shade. That sentence still echoes in my head, like a line from a story set in another century. But this wasn't history class. This was my child's life, and I'm still trying to figure out how we got here. My daughter is 8 years old. She's joyful, radiant, and kind. She loves school, her daycare, and more than anything, she loves her friends. She's the kind of child who notices when another kid is sitting alone and finds a way to include them. And like any mother, I just want her safe, protected, loved. But safety wasn't what she found in that daycare. It started small, the kind of small that makes you second guess yourself. She came home one afternoon, frustrated. "They won't give me sunscreen," she said. "They said I don't need it." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "They said black people don't get sunburns." I didn't have words at first, just silence. That sick, tightening feeling in your gut when you realize something is wrong, but it hasn't fully taken shape yet. I went to the daycare the next day. I asked for clarity, hoping, maybe praying, that it was a misunderstanding. The staff didn't flinch. They told me, point blank, that melanin protects from the sun, that my daughter didn't need sunscreen, that if I insisted, I'd have to provide a doctor's note. A doctor's note for sunscreen. Still, I complied. I got the note. I sent my daughter with her own bottle. She tried to share it with friends, some of whom were also black and hadn't been given any either. And the teacher took it away, said she wasn't allowed to share it, said it wasn't permitted without authorization. And then came the field trip. This was before COVID, a warm spring day. They visited a park, and when it came time for lunch, the daycare split the children. The white kids were directed to sit in the shade, away from the blazing sun. The black kids left in the sunlight. No canopy, no sunscreen, just skin and heat and silence. I didn't even know about this until my daughter told me later, matter-of-factly, like it was just something that happened. I tried again. I sent articles about skin cancer, medical facts, statements from dermatologists. I explained that yes, melanin offers some protection, but not immunity. That black people can, and do, get sunburned. That they can develop skin cancer. And often at later, more deadly stages because myths like these keep us from being taken seriously. The daycare director didn't budge. In fact, she doubled down. She said she was following protocol, that her staff had been instructed not to give sunscreen to the black children unless medically mandated, that I was blowing things out of proportion. Then she asked me to take down my online review. I had posted it on Yelp after my daughter came home with a sunburn so severe her skin peeled. It hurt her to shower. She cried at night because her back stung. My child was physically injured because grown adults couldn't be bothered to apply a basic layer of sunscreen. And still, they asked me to take it down, as if the real problem wasn't what they did, but the fact that I dared to speak up. The review was simple, honest. I said the daycare was endangering children. I said the policies were racist. I said they were segregating kids based on skin color, and that this wasn't just negligent, it was dangerous. Then came the messages. Some were supportive, some were furious. A few parents, other moms, reached out to me privately. They had noticed things too. Whispers of different treatment. Things their children had told them that they hadn't quite known how to process. But not everyone agreed. One of my own friends called me a Karen, said I was making drama where there was none. Black people have melanin, she said. You're overreacting. Overreacting? My daughter's skin was blistered and raw. She was 8 years old. She asked for help and was denied. And they want to call me the problem? I thought about reporting them. I thought about going nuclear. News stations, licensing boards, everything. But my husband was hesitant. He said if the place shuts down, other families will lose their childcare. He wasn't wrong. We live in a rural area and options are limited. So, I paused. I took a breath. I sat with my daughter and asked her how she felt about everything. Her response? She still wanted to go. All her friends were there. It was the only place she'd known. How do you weigh the invisible wounds against the visible ones? How do you explain to a child that sometimes comfort comes at a cost? We compromised. I arranged for her grandma to pick her up directly after school, so she wouldn't need to rely on the daycare in the afternoons. I joined a group chat with other parents and asked them to keep me informed if they saw anything similar. I emailed the owner of the entire franchise, not just the local manager, and told them everything. The response was swift. They were furious, and apparently they acted. The staff responsible, the manager and her inner circle, were let go. The people who had enforced these policies were no longer there. But still, I waited. I didn't report them. Not yet. Not unless it happened again. Because I'm not confrontational by nature, and because a part of me still felt torn. There were other workers there. People who hadn't done anything wrong. Would they lose their jobs too? Would my daughter's friends be displaced if the whole place shut down? It's a strange place to be in. Angry and afraid at the same time. Empowered, but exhausted. Wanting justice, but not wanting collateral damage. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the perfect solution is, but I do know this. When a child tells you they're being treated differently because of their skin, you listen. When a child comes home hurt, you fight for them. When someone tells you that calling out racism makes you a Karen, you remind them that silence is not neutrality, it's complicity. And if protecting my child makes me the villain in someone else's story, then so be it. So, am I the asshole? Was I wrong for going public? For writing that review? For refusing to take it down? Or was I just doing what any mother would do? Standing up when no one else would? This story cuts deeper than just sunscreen. It's about a myth, a dangerous one, that black children are stronger, tougher, less vulnerable. It's a lie that's been told in too many ways for too many generations. In classrooms, in hospitals, in courtrooms, and yes, in daycares. It's also about the power of a voice. One mother refused to stay silent. She wrote the truth, and maybe that truth shook something loose. Maybe it forced a change. Maybe, just maybe, it protected another child from harm. We don't always get justice wrapped in a bow. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's slow. But silence never saves us. So what would you have done? Would you have written the review? Gone to the media? Pulled your child immediately? Or waited for change? And what do you say to a friend who calls you a Karen when all you're trying to do is protect your baby? Leave a comment. Share your thoughts. Because stories like these, they don't just live on Reddit. They live in our neighborhoods, our schools, and sometimes in the quiet spaces where we least expect them. This is AITA Story Vault, where silence ends and the truth begins.